right, so who here has done keyword research before? Okay. Somebody tell me why you've done keyword research. Anybody? Okay, so for keyword optimization. All right, who's done keyword research for that purpose? Okay, anybody else has done keyword research for something other than that? What's that?
Competitor research.
Competitor research? Okay, anybody done keyword research for competitor? Okay. All right, well, we're going to talk a little bit about keyword research and keyword optimization, kind of a little bit of SEO built in here. But before we get to that, let me introduce myself. My name's Stoney deGeyter. And I do what I like to call web presence optimization. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying we do SEO, but we do more than optimize sites for search engines. We optimize the entire web presence, which means building a site and a social media channel and content marketing that basically serves customers what they're looking for. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Google+. You can tweet me if you want. And there's my book that I wrote, Best Damn Web Marketing Checklist. I have one here to give away to the first person who can tell me that you want it.
I want it!
She was loud, so.
I want it!
All right. I'll give another one away. I had them pass out some cards. If you want to fill that out, get that back to me. Just throw it in that at the end of the session, and I'll draw one of those and give another book away. You can also go on Amazon and get it. You can get the digital copy or the paperback copy. And that's my company, Pole Position Marketing, where you can hire us to do all kinds of web presence optimization. All right, so that's the longest commercial you're going to get today. All right, so we're all marketers, right? Who here is not a marketer? All right, nobody raised their hand. Okay, so we're marketers. What is our one job? Go. What is it?
Sell.
What?
Sell.
Sell? Anybody else? Show your product.
Get a message out.
Get your message out. All right, good answers. Typically, marketers will think, hey, we're out there to gain new customers, generate more sales. But this is not the answer I'm looking for, because as marketers, our real job is to become an authority. You want to build a website that has that authoritativeness, that people come and say, look, I understand you know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. You know your product. You know your service. You give tips, tutorials, all that kind of stuff. And authority is really just designed, it's a way to sell your product. But people need to see that you are an authority in that space before you can sell them anything, before you can convince them of anything. And sales, isn't that the job of the sales department versus marketers? Our job is to make the sales job easier. That's what we do. We make it so the salespeople can do their job a lot easier and a lot faster. Because when it comes to it, customers are like love. You usually get them most when you're not looking for it. That's when it comes. I can tell you how many times that I've had people come to me, call me, hey, I want to hire you for our SEO. I look at them, I look at their website, and I'm like, I'm not interested. And I brush them off, and they come back, and I'm like, I brush them off, and they keep coming back over and over and over again. It's like, dude, I don't want you, and it's when I'm not looking. Now the prospects that I'm chasing after, I'm calling up and memorizing their kids' names and all that kind of stuff, and it's like those are the ones that seem to be more elusive. Well, it's marketers. We can leave the customer chasing to the sales department. While as marketers, we do the authority building, the brand building, the building up the value of who we are. Sales is out there, they're getting leads, they're drumming up stuff, they're go, 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 go. Yet then they burn themselves out, they got to take a break, and authority building, well, slow and steady what? Wins the race. So as marketers, that's our job, is to be the slow and steady where we win the race. Let the salespeople do what they do. but it's you as a marketer that's going to make their job easier. So searchers are looking for two things, essentially, and when people who are interested in your product or your service. Customer reviews. You know, does anybody buy anything without looking at customer reviews anymore? You know, I go on Amazon, and maybe I'm not alone in this. You know, you see two products. You see one product with 5 reviews and a similar product with 1,000 reviews. Well, where are you more likely to buy it from? The one that has more reviews. My wife won't buy a product if she can't find reviews for it. You know, it's crazy. I was looking at, well, my wife bought me some headphones for Christmas, and I swear these things could be used as a torture device. They hurt my ears. So just one day on an airplane, they hurt my ears so bad. Just the way they fit, something about them, it was horrible. So I went and started researching, doing, you know, my own reviews, and I found this pair of $300 headphones, which is a ridiculous price for headphones. And I showed my wife, and she freaked out, and she's like, well, I looked at the reviews, you know, and she's like, well, for $300, you shouldn't have any negative reviews. Well, you know, we know that's not true. You know, people are like, oh, they dropped the package off in the rain. I'm giving this a 1 star. Well, that's not the product's fault. You know, but reviews they help us make good decisions. Well, and people are also looking for content, because the content helps them understand what your product is, or what your service is, or what it is that you're offering. And, you know, it gives them a sense of what you're about. But really, these aren't what people are looking for when they're looking for reviews and valuable content. What they're really looking at is, what is the product or service that you provide? They really want to know about that. Reviews just tell them about the product or service, right? It just gives them confirmation from third parties about what it is that you offer. And the content is really just how well you know your stuff. You know, and that's important, because if you don't know what you're selling, or you don't know your product, or you're not a believer in your product, people are going to sense that. So you really got to make sure you provide these things, but don't look at it as let's get reviews and let's get content. Is what do they want? Well, they want to know about what you're providing, and they want to know that you are an authority in that topic. And you've got to be that authority. So there's 2 ways to build authority. One is mass keyword content, which SEOs have been doing since the dawn of 1998, when Google came about, actually before Google. You know, and we've been producing mass content. You know, we do our keyword research, and we write content. We do our keyword research, we write content. Mass producing anything to get those rankings, right? Well, the other thing we can do is write authority topical content. Now, which of these two is probably going to be better? Oh, come on, it's a Bible, people. You know, there we go. How about that? We got a winner. Authoritative topical content. That wins every time. And that's what we need to be as marketers. We need to build that authoritative topical content. All right, so real quick, you know, when we talk about keyword research and content optimization, and the title of the presentation is Goodbye Keyword Optimization, Hello Topical Optimization. Well, keyword research isn't dead. Not yet. There is still value in keyword research because the data is still valuable. The search engines still look at content, and they analyze it, and they see keywords, and they go, okay, I know what this content is about. That really hasn't changed. What has changed is that there's more to a keyword than the actual keyword. With today's algorithms, you can actually rank for a search phrase that is not on your page at all. I mean, that's crazy. And the reason why that is because the search engines are looking beyond the keyword, and they're looking at the topic. They're looking at your ability to understand and explain what it is that you do. Whether you're using the actual phrase or even the actual keyword or not is irrelevant if you're covering the topic sufficiently. Google and the search engines, they understand, okay, these things are related. So keyword research, we still need to do keyword research, but now we are looking at it as something different than keyword optimize. We're looking at keyword. Now we've got a topic, and how do we write about that topic? So in order to do that, we've got to understand searcher intent. What is the searcher meaning? What is it that they're looking for? Should I be posing for these? All right. We need to understand that different searchers and different keywords have a different intent. When somebody goes into Google and they type something in, they may type in very similar phrases that mean something very, very different. And there's four basic types of intent. There's those who are researching, those who are shopping, those who are buying, and those who are just looking for information. Now, the researchers, they're kind of big picture. Like, I have a general idea of what I want, and now I'm going to go and start narrowing that down. And the shoppers are like, okay, now I'm going to get down to looking at different features and comparing and this and that and the other. The buyers, they know what they want. Now they're looking at, the micro data. And I often use, a TV. People are looking for a TV, they type in widescreen TV, they get all the TVs. Well, then they come back and they go, I want a Stoney TV. Well, they're shopping. They've narrowed it down to Stoney. Well, then they narrow that down to a Stoney 60-inch TV. You see how they're getting closer and closer to buying, and they're at that place where now they're typing in Stoney 60-inch TV. They're looking at just a few different features in that and deciding where they want to buy it. And of course, the informational phrases, those are people who are just, pretty much looking for information. But every search has an intent of what it is that they want, and we have to make sure that the content matches that intent. But the thing is, keywords themselves, they can lie about their intent. Some keywords are obvious, right? You look at what it is, okay, that's a research, that's a shop, that's a buy term. And when we do our keyword research, we kind of map everything out. Here's all the research terms, here's all the shopping terms, here's all the buying terms. But not every keyword is obvious. And a great example of that is years ago I went into an Office Max and I was looking for a cordless telephone headset. And lo and behold, they didn't bring me to the cordless telephone headsets, they brought me to the cordless telephone headsets. And what it was is they brought me to headsets for a cordless telephone rather than cordless headsets for any type of phone. And, that was eye-opening for me because I'm like, this isn't what I asked for. But it was. It's just we have to understand the intent. And now, not everything's as difficult as this to interpret. If you get a situation like this and you don't know which way to go, you know what the best way to find out? Put it in Google and see what Google delivers. There's your answer. That tells you what the intent is. Based on the results, what everybody else is showing, whatever the majority of those is, that'll give you an idea of what people are looking for. So we just got to understand, though, that the keywords don't always tell us intent, but we need to really find that. And let's say somebody's doing a search for, I don't know, let's say acrylic nails. Just pulled that out of my hat, right? What's the intent there? Somebody searching for acrylic nails, they'd be looking for designs, glitter, supplies, tips, kits, powder, all of this stuff. And these are different shopping intents, basically, but they're looking for different types of products. But can you take acrylic nails and write one single piece of authoritative content on that? Probably not. It's too broad, right? There's too much information to cover. And we talk about writing authority content, which means diving deep and just having all the information there that people need, but sometimes you can go too deep and there's just too much there. So what do you do? You create topical groups. So you take all the design keywords and you go, okay, this is for design, this is for supplies, this is for tips. And now you're kind of segmenting. Now you're going, okay, I could probably write an authoritative page for designs. I could probably write an authoritative page for supplies and one for tips. But we still haven't got into the specific intent of where they are in the shopping process. So these keywords can actually be broken down even further, which brings us to topical optimization versus keyword optimization and what the difference is between those. Keyword optimization, where we started years ago in SEO, was you got one keyword and you optimize a page. And how do you get rankings? You just keep making content and content and content and content. Every page has a keyword. Has anybody done that before? Good, I'm not the only one. Would have been embarrassed. So, but we do that where we say, hey, look, we got this keyword and we want to make a page for it. Now, the problem with that and with today's algorithms is that usually results in a lot of very, very thin content. And the algorithms have penalties for thin content, and maybe not penalties, but you don't get the rewards. So if you don't get the reward, it's a penalty in a sense. So we don't want to produce thin content. We want to produce authoritative content. We want to produce great content. So we can't really go after the one keyword per page. So with content or topical optimization, we're now looking at one intent per topic for a page. So now we've got our buying cycles, the research, shop, buy, information terms, right? Well, now with those subgroups that we made for our acrylic nails, we now drill down into where they are in that shopping process. If they're researching, here's the acrylic nail designs research terms. They're shopping, well, that's a different set of acrylic nail terms. If they're buying, that's another set of acrylic nail terms. And we have to understand and be able to segment all of these into their proper category, because what you want to do is when somebody does a search for a research acrylic nails term, you want them to land on a page that is specific for that. What you don't want to do is if somebody's in the buying cycle, you don't want them to land on a research page because they're not there. They want to be over here and you missed an opportunity. Versus if somebody's in the research phase, you don't want to land them on a shop page because they're not ready to buy, they're still researching. So it takes different types of content, even though you're talking about essentially the same keyword, the same topic, but that topic has 3-4 different types of intents that you need to produce different types of content for. You produce that content and you make sure it meets the need. It meets the need for the researcher, you have the content that meets the need for the shopper, you have the content that meets the need for the buyer, and it gives them exactly what they want and then kind of propels them to the next stage in the cycle. So that's where we can produce multiple authoritative points of entry, not thousands of points of entry, one for every keyword, but also not one port of entry for this particular topic. You've got at least 4 points of entry for each very narrow focus subtopic because you're focusing on the intent. And you're bringing them in exactly to the page where they need to be for where they are in that buying cycle. And what that gives us is basically keyword domination, which is what we want. We want to be able to optimize pages, and when somebody does a search for pretty much any keyword within our topical realm, we want to say, here's a page for that keyword. And it's going to be that page for several keywords, but for them, that keyword brings them to a page that meets their very specific need. And that's what we want to do when it comes to keyword research, keyword optimization. We want to really dominate that so we can rank for as many phrases as possible and get people to the exact right landing page. So that's my presentation. I can answer any questions that you guys have on that. We need you to use the microphone. And while they're doing that, if you guys want to bring up your slips, and I'll give you a book and all that kind of stuff, but and fill out the review form and all that kind of stuff. But go ahead.
Okay, so this is related to the intent pages. Is it actually a different page for each of the intents? So my site is a kind of a shopping site for products made in the USA only. And so it looks like a shopping page. You have categories, and then you have products and product images and descriptions and things like that. And I'm trying to envision that, how that would work for, like, let's say one of my products. Let's say it's one of the products is work clothes, like a flame retardant shirt or something like that. How would I do that?
For e-commerce sites, the research shop buy, it lays out pretty easily in the format of your master category is research. Your subcategory is shop, and your product pages are buy. So if you think about that and go, okay, somebody who's looking for this term, if they're not ready to buy, they're at this far end, well, you want to land them on your category page, your master category page. And then if they're kind of narrowing their search a little bit, you go, okay, you know what, this page, this subcategory pages, because that's what they do, right? They narrow down the search. You've got everything, and you've got a little bit, you know, and going back to, well, I'll use another example. You know, somebody doing a search for motorcycle batteries. It's one of our client does that. They sell motorcycle batteries. So type in motorcycle battery, and you land on a page that says, here's our motorcycle batteries. What motorcycle do you want? All right, so they click Honda. Well, now that is our shop category, because somebody, if they search for Honda motorcycle battery, that's where we want them to land. But they don't quite know what battery they want versus one step further if they say Honda Goldwing motorcycle battery 1978 or 1978 Honda Goldwing motorcycle battery. Now they're at that buy. They're typing in something very specific for that product. Does that help?
So maybe my site is already kind of set up like this, just.
It's just, yeah, the sites are usually set up like that. It's a matter of finding the right keywords for each of those segments. And that's where a lot of people go wrong, because they just, hey, let's optimize for this keyword and bring everything to this page. But you got to make sure you look specifically at the intent of each keyword. Any more questions? I need more questions. I can't leave here until...
Yes, Kai.
Okay.
We have a question. Well, I'd like to continue this talk from the previous question. So we need to designate each page to a certain intent, or we could mix them together on one page?
You generally don't want to, because what that'll end up doing is it will confuse the visitor in the sense that they'll land on the page and they won't immediately relate to it. Because if they're at one part of the shopping and you've got some of this and some of that and some of the other one, and again, every site's different, so you have to understand your audience. But you usually want to kind of keep those segmented. You want people to go through, you know, a flow.
Mm-hmm. But what if they read some information and then they decide it's kind of a supplemental thing? So their intent is supplemental to buy, right? Supplemental to research something. Right, so they're researching something, and they can buy something additionally, right, which relates to their topic. Like, for example,
yeah, that's upselling.
This is related, like, for example, to Google AdSense. Google does this by himself, right, by itself. How Google AdSense works? It's based their ads on the content, on the research, on the topic, let's say, of research something, right? So they provide some kind of product, they show some kind of product based on the analyzing the content of this, let's say, research page or page you're researching.
Well, I'm not sure I'm entirely following the question, but what I'll say is, you know, with each phase that somebody's in, the goal is to use a call to action that moves them into the next phase. If they're researching, you give them the information they need, and then here's the next step, move into the shop phase. And now they're there, call to action, move into the buy phase. And ideally, that's what you want somebody to do with those three phases, is to move from one to the other. You can upsell other products, but usually you do that in the buy phase while they're already there. Here's your product page, here's related products, other information that they want with that.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay, thank you.
We have 5 minutes. I'm going to keep you here for every last one of them. Questions? All right.
So can we talk about keywords themselves?
No.
Please.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So I have just recently heard the expression long tail keywords. Can you speak to that for 1 minute?
Yeah. Usually long tail keywords, or traditionally they have been in that buy category because people are using very specific terminology. That's changing now with mobile search because now every search on mobile is a long tail phrase. because people are speaking more than they're typing. When we'd go to search engines and type, we'd say motorcycle battery. And now when we search, say, hey Google, I'm looking for a motorcycle battery that won't die when it gets wet and will start my motorcycle every time, you know. So it gets into the longer tail, and so now we have to decide where is that one in the buying cycle. Based on that, that's probably more of a research, could be a buy, but we have to really understand, you know, what people are searching for. And mobile and voice search really does change everything. All right, everybody give me one of these. Does anybody else have one? Do you have a question? Go.
Are there other aspects of the website architecture that you have in mind to separate the website architecture? How do you separate the categories?
I'm not sure I understand, and I feel bad. I don't do well with accents, so I'm missing a word here.
Yeah, the website architecture. So you said
Architecture.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Other things that you have to consider for the different entities.
Yeah, I mean, and it does. Architecture is the foundation of the website. And if you're building a site, don't let the designers set up your architecture. You know, plan it out. And we do keyword research before we ever figure out the navigation, because we want to see what people are searching for. And we want to use the words that they're searching, and we will use that to build the navigation to make sure we're hitting all the key points of what people are looking for. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. So who wants to win? All right. All right. Bring it up here. Take a card. Give a card. Okay. All right. Tell me when you think these are sufficiently shuffled. All right. I got a thumbs up. Rianne? Rian? You want a book? All right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. If you have any other questions, I'll be here or out there or something, so feel free to stop me.